The St. Mary Parish Sheriff's Office is teaming up with Gulf Coast Social Services, based in Houma, to provide families with help in times of a crisis with their children. On Monday, February 24th, Brandy Lorette, Regional Director of Gulf Coast Social Services, gave a brief presentation to law enforcement and the media.
So the point is, from a law enforcement perspective, crisis to you could be a youth calling that they're suicidal, right? Or they're having suicidal ideations or homicidal ideations. And yes, we do respond to those. We do. Without a vest, without all the good stuff. But more what we're looking for, more how we're looking to partner with you guys is responding to this crisis where they don't want to go to school and you get a phone call. Or they just went through a breakup at school and they're just distraught and they're crying and mom can't control them. Or they're throwing things because the game was taken away, the phone was taken away, and they're just uncontrollable. So those are the children that we want you to call us out for. We want you to be on the road looking for the criminals, as you should, and let us partner with you on the mental health side of things. So it has been very, very successful. And so far in Terrebonne Parish and LaFouche Parish, we have partnered with St. Charles as well, and we have been very successful. And when I say successful, I mean daily. We're getting calls daily from patrol, from officers that are calling us out to help them work through these mental health crises that they're being called for. Our mobile crisis response team, we're completely mobile. We go to the site. So if you're calling us from a parking lot, if you're calling us from a school, if it's an SRO, and we actually will go there. We'll go to you. So let me rewind, because I think this is very important to tell you. We are licensed by the state, by Louisiana Department of Health. So we're fully licensed by the Department of Health, and we do not charge families for this service. So no one will ever get a bill. We do, if the child has Medicaid, we will bill through Medicaid. However, if they have private insurance and no insurance, doesn't matter. This is no charge to anyone. So community-based immediate mental health intervention provided at the scene of the crisis. It's not intended to replace existing behavioral health services. And the purpose, of course, as you see up here, is to address urgent emotional, behavioral, and psychiatric issues in real time. We want to decrease the use or the unnecessary use of hospitalization, the hospitals, ER visits, and I hate to say that in this room, but we also want to decrease the use of law enforcement. We want to keep them out of juvie. We want to keep them out of just unnecessarily being locked up whenever we believe, from what we do, from our standpoint, that a lot of that can be avoided if we just intervene correctly with our mental health team. So we're available 24/7, 7 days a week. My teams consist of mental health professionals, so we do have licensed counselors. We do have unlicensed professionals, which are degreed individuals who have degrees in social work or they're master prepared. And then we also have peer supports. Our peer supports, this program has been studied by LSU, and LSU feels that the peer supports are the most beneficial in this situation. So we do mobile peer supports or people that have been there, done that. So we actually have recovering addicts on our team. We have children, we have aged out foster care children on our team. They actually respond to these crises, and it is amazing the work that they can do with these kids. So how this works, it starts with a phone assessment. We have a licensed provider that's on call 24/7. She answers the phone, or he answers the phone. He does a risk assessment and a quick interview. And when I mean quick, I mean quick. It is, where are you? What is your name? Why are you calling? Briefly tell me why you're calling. Where are you? Are you safe? Is there a gun involved? Is there a knife involved? Do we need to respond with law enforcement? And then we do a quick risk assessment, meaning we ask those homicide or suicide questions, right? Do you have a plan? Are you going to do that right now? That does not mean we will not respond. We just need to know who we need to go to that site, or are we safe to go ourselves? The actual crisis intervention, the team shows up. The team shows up and they intervene. They start the de-escalation process. They provide emotional support and they address the immediate need of that youth. And then we collaborate. So we collaborate with different behavioral health providers in the area. So we are the middleman, I guess that's the best way to put it. So once we stabilize, we do our de-escalation, we stabilize the situation, we're gonna collaborate, we're gonna connect that youth to the services that they need. And that is hopefully to keep them out of the hospital. So it is to provide them the counseling or the therapy, or not provide, but connect them with the right providers to get them the therapy or the counseling that they need. So the goal is to stabilize that youth in the most least restrictive environment. We want to avoid at all costs hospitalization. Successes and benefits of this program, we want to reduce, like I said, hospitalizations, fewer emergency visits, inpatient psychiatric admissions. We want to reduce law enforcement involvement, improve community health, strengthening the capacity to handle mental health crises in the community, and then it's cost effective, right? It's cost effective for us as taxpayers, it's more cost effective for the families. So it's a lot more affordable. Of course, it's free in most cases, but it's a lot more affordable than hospitalization or long-term institutional care. And I said a minute ago that no one ever receives a bill. And then I need to piggyback into this. So all of what I just explained to you happens within 24 hours. You call us out, we respond, we do the de-escalation, we stabilize. Within 24 hours, we're connected them with the right provider. We go back to the house or to the schools, wherever we need to go. We do our follow-up visit with them, and then we're out. So that's how quick that happens. It's within 24 hours. Then there's a second half to it. So the second half is then the community brief crisis support. So the second half, we are actually given another 15 days, if needed, to follow that youth. I don't know if any of you have any mental health, if you have a history of mental health yourself, or if you're connected in some way to the mental health world, but to get a mental health appointment nowadays, it's like 2 weeks out, a week to 2 weeks out. So sometimes what we do is we actually initiate this brief support program, and we follow them until they get to their appointment. And that means sometimes getting them to their appointment. Because we do, and so I'm not funny, but I'm gonna joke around right now. Our older generation, they don't really wrap their head around mental health very well. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, she's crazy. She's just crazy. She's just looking for attention. She's crazy. So sometimes we're up against that, right? So we have to not only educate the parent, but the parent will just outright refuse to take that child to have the services that they actually need. Child's not refusing, the parent is. So sometimes we will have to convince, or we do convince the parents, let us just take care of this. So we'll do daily face-to-face visits with this youth until they actually get to their appointment and get the medication or the counseling or therapy, whatever they need. We can also provide this service if the youth has been hospitalized. So if the youth, if they made it to the hospital before we could even get involved, we can actually provide it when they get out. So that crisis community, community brief crisis support can be provided after discharge. Hopefully your hospital's aware of that, but we're gonna follow up with that. So we have not received any calls from your hospital, so if you guys have any connections, please let me know. So we received our first call on 12/17, 18-year-old who was homeless, by the way. I had to respond to that one. And since 12/17, or as of last Friday, I did the numbers, we had 29 calls as of last 8 weeks, in the last 8 weeks or so-ish. We've had 29 calls. 26 of them were resolved, 3 of them were hospitalized. So not bad, that's pretty good. I think we're doing our job. The average age of the caller is 15 years old. We have served as young as 5 and then all the way up to 18. So our definition of youth is 0 to 22. So I know sometimes our brains will automatically go to 18, but it's actually 0 to 20. We do service. I shared our current response time already, and then these are some actual reasons for calls. These are calls that we've taken. Verbal threats of suicide, we've had outbursts. Refusal to attend school, those are pretty popular. I'm sure y'all know that. Inappropriate sexual behavior, we've had self-harming multiple times. Homelessness, suicide with a plan, homicidal threats without a plan, and we actually had some recently. She had homicidal threats with a plan. She was in school and she sent an email to her teachers, and she had a list. she had a hit list of who she was going to, yes, take care of. The suicide was a plan, actually it was the same school. She had a rope and she was in the gym. And they called us and we responded. So yeah, it can be as serious as that, but it can be as not serious, I guess, as just a youth not wanting to go to school. So we are actually partnered with DCFS as well. So part of one of my programs that I oversee is foster care. We do therapeutic foster care. So DCFS a lot of times will call us if they're having issues with transition too. So you may come across that where it's a kinship situation or they're removing a child, you're at the scene, and they're removing a child out of a home. We can respond to that. That youth may not be presenting as a crisis, but it still is a crisis. It's still a crisis for that youth. So we would absolutely love to be called in that situation so that we can just kind of navigate what that youth may need when they move to the next home or not, or maybe a group home.
All right, so I believe it's a good thing for even the sheriff's office to be able to use because it gives our dispatchers another tool. When they call, we can choose to call Acadian if we have to, but if we have Gulf Coast Services, someone else that can actually come out, it's just another tool for us to be able to use. I think it's an extra privilege for it to even be offered within our parish to serve our children.
How often do you get calls right now that you need assistance with juveniles?
Well, I am no longer working on patrol, so I couldn't give you an exact number. But when the officers do reach out to me, it's normally those children that doesn't want to go to school in the morning. So when Ms. Brandy mentioned that was one of the first things that kind of piqued my interest. I think it's also important to understand too, while she's presenting to law enforcement and other first responders, emergency personnel, this is also for the parents as well. So, I want to also encourage the parents as well to use the information that's been given.